New Year is in, and we have our first distillery visit trip in 2026. Today we are heading down to the Valley of Tequila again, and we'll check out two tequila distilleries. The first one is Gran Orendain. I remember visiting Gran Orendain years ago, and we could do a tour without any prior reservation. Thankfully, it still stands. We showed up, rang the bell, and were let in easily, and we could easily register with the next available tour. They have both English and Spanish language available. Much like other distilleries in the town of Tequila, so far, they also have different packages. All packages include the same tour around the distillery. The tasting experience, however, is different. With the basic tour, you get to taste only a very few expressions, while the higher tiers would include a proper tasting of some of the distillery's higher tier, more advanced expressions. Since we were in a hurry, being booked for another tour straight after this one, we chose the Mexicano tour, which is the most basic one, but it still gives you the tour experience much like everything else. The tour started off with a video explaining the roots of the Orendain family producing tequila. We were visiting a tequila that has just turned 100 years old this year after all. The video was short, just around 3 minutes long. After the video, our guide introduced himself as Saul, and he explained the agave harvest and the work of the jimadores. We had the lovely statue of a jimador for this presentation with a microphone in his hand, which was quite funny, and he even had the famous harvesting tool, the koa, which was deliberately not sharpened, probably so we won't accidentally get cut into pieces during the presentation. I asked Saul whether they were using the taona or was only for show, which is also featured in the distillery, and he confirmed it was only there for the presentation. So while you can see a taona in this distillery, you won't see it in use. Then we went to the place where the cooking or hydrolysis takes place. They had several brick ovens operating and even a few autoclaves. We were able to observe them in operation, and our guide gave us some good information about the process. Then we were taken to a table which featured the leftover agave fibers called the bagazo. They were showcasing some of the things that can be made of it, like jewelry or paper, recycling them so the leftover fiber won't go to waste. It was a really cool part of the experience, as while other places also feature the fiber, so you can touch it and understand it. This is the first time I saw someone even feature actual building bricks made of bagazo. Imagine building a house of these. Pretty awesome. After the fiber presentation, we walked back to the area with the fermentation tanks. On the way there, I did notice a little poster saying that Gran Orendain is a Tesoro Nacional, which in English it means national treasure. After asking our tour guide, he confirmed it is a government-backed program or achievement that was awarded to Gran Orendain. A good distillery tour usually includes tasting cooked agave, which was our next stop. I really enjoyed tasting the cooked agave of Gran Orendain. It was nice and sweet as it should be. Then Saul told us about the fermentation process, mentioning that the yeast they use is proprietary. Then we got to the distillation part. In my earlier visit years ago, they used to have stainless steels. Now they had a combination of copper steels and stainless steels. We got to try their base distillate at 55% ABV, and it was very good. Nice and clean.
Okay, para tomar este tequila solo lo vamos a tomar en el shot. ¿Un shot? Vamos a hacer unos pequeños dados. Quede poquito, se lo deja en tu boca sin pasar más. Sí. Respire. Aguante. Pase. Así es. Pues, ahorita, si vas a sentir fuerte, es normal. porque es la primera vez que empezamos a tomar alcohol y de hecho es bastante temprano.
Nice and clean, with just the right body you would expect from an artisanal process. After sampling a bit of tequila, of course we had a good mood, so it was time for taking some photos. Not just around the pot still, but in their tasting room, one of their staff surprised us and took a quick photo, which later was printed out so we could purchase it. Normally, we don't go for things like this, but since it wasn't overly expensive and they already printed and framed it nicely, we took it. Well, my wife ended it. I could probably live without that photo. Then we had the chance to do some further tasting. We picked the basic tour, so the sampling was quite light. We got to taste their mixto tequila. To be fair, while it had very little taste to it, it wasn't unpleasant and it was particularly dry. Then we got to try different flavors like almond, manzanillo, and the coffee liqueur. I'm not a huge fan of these liqueurs made with some tequila, but my wife and they like them a lot. If you're a fan of these kinds of drinks, and especially if you have women in your group, they may like it too. The sampling was already done at the gift shop part of the distillery, which looked very nice by the way, as it was located at the end of a pleasant garden. Compared to the size of the distillery, the gift shop was quite small and it was focusing mainly on selling booze versus items. You could buy the products made at the distillery, some special editions, and particularly if you wanted to buy a cuernito, they seem to have a very good price for it at 420 pesos. So would I recommend visiting Gran Orendain? I think visiting this distillery can be a worthy addition to your list as it shows a mostly artisanal style production at a larger scale. You will get to observe many processes and learn about tequila production. The price was very fair and the tour was full of features for the price paid, and our guide was very attentive and friendly. My wife Andy noted that it was cool that we had a private tour as there were no other guests at this time. So all in all, I would recommend taking this tour. Cheers.